Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be discussing the battery life on the Moto G 2014 with Lollipop 5.0 as the latest Android OS. And now those of you who have been following me on the channel, you must remember that the Moto G 2014 got updated to Lollipop 5.0 just a few weeks ago in the UK. As I've been living with the phone ever since the update, and I've been taking various screenshots of the battery life, and I've been using the phone as my daily driver. So now I'm ready to share what the battery life is on the Moto G 2014 with Lollipop 5.0. Okay, let's first of all get into the gallery and straight away get into the screenshots, and let's go to the very first screenshot that I took on the very first day a few weeks back, just to show you guys how the phone's battery has been faring so far. Those of you who've been following them on the channel, please make sure you also look at the battery life on a KitKat on the Moto G as well. There's a separate video on my channel. Please do look at it, and then you can compare the battery life on the KitKat versus the battery life on the Moto G with the Lollipop on it. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the very first screenshot. From here, as you can see, on the very first day, the battery went down to 58%. I had the Wi-Fi on, and the phone was fairly heavily used, heavy and moderately, I would say, rather. And after 1 hour and 1 minute, that's the total screen on time I got, the battery went down to 58%, and this was just about average screen on time. I have to admit that it took the battery a while to settle down. Once the Lollipop hit update, it took a phone at least a couple of days before it started giving me some decent battery time. For the very first day, when it went down to 58%, the screen on time was total 1 hour and 1 minute, which was just about average, in fact below average, I would say. Okay, next up, I stretched the battery all the way to 6% with the same battery life as from before. I kept on using it further down, and I got a total of 3 hours and 44 minutes, which is not bad actually, considering that this was the very first, in fact the very first day on Lollipop, and the phone was still, the battery was still trying to recalibrate with the operating system. So once I stretched the phone down to the limit, 6% with Wi-Fi on only, I was able to get 3 hours and 44 minutes of screen on time, which, like I said earlier, is just about average. Okay, another day, 89%. I didn't use the phone as much, probably for half an hour or so, and it was a heavy use as well, and I got a total of 37 minutes of screen on time after 89% of battery. Like I said, the battery was settling down in the first couple of days. It took a while, but eventually it started giving me some decent battery lifetime, which you will see eventually once I go further down. Okay, on this one, I left the phone. I took the phone off charge after fully charging it just before 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got up about 10 o'clock after almost 8 hours, and I left the Wi-Fi on as well, and the battery went down to only 1%, which is really impressive. One thing I've been really impressed with the Lollipop is the standby times on the Moto G 2014 has been really excellent. Even if you leave the Wi-Fi on, the battery doesn't drain as much as it would on 3G or with heavy usage. So standby time on Lollipop Moto G has been really impressive. Okay, and I kept the phone on standby further down. I went back to bed again for a couple of hours, and the battery went down to 97%, as you can see on the top left corner here, and that was after a total of 10 hours and 24 minutes. So after 8 hours, when I only lost 1%, I left it further for 2 hours more, 2.5 hours more, and the battery did lose 2 more percent. So 97% in 10.5 hours standby time, I think, is pretty decent for a phone of this class. Not too bad at all. Okay, further down, another day, I used the phone moderately for and it went down to about 75%, and I was able to get 1 hour and 39 minutes of screen on time. Now this is really impressive as compared to what I showed you just a little while ago on the previous screenshots, where I was only able to get 1 hour and 1 minute after 58% of battery. Whereas in this, as you can see, the battery went down to only 75%, and after using it on Wi-Fi moderately, I was able to get 1 hour and 39 minutes of screen on time. Now this is really impressive. This is when the Lollipop actually began to settle down on the phone, and I was getting decent screen on times. Even with only down to 75%, I was able to get 1 hour and 39 minutes. I kept on using the phone further down, went all the way down to 47%, and after using it moderately heavily, I was able to get 3 hours and 7 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 47%. Now this is really impressive, because if I would have kept using the phone with the same pace, the phone would have given me at least 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. Now this is the same kind of battery life that Moto G was giving us on the Kit Kat when I had this before the Lollipop. Initially, like I said, in the first couple of days I was slightly disappointed, but eventually with the Lollipop update, after a couple of days it started to fare pretty well, and I was getting some decent screen on times. I kept the phone using on further down, same, and after about 10% more down to 37%, I was able to get 3 hours and 38 minutes of screen on time. That means approximately this phone would have given you definitely 4.5 hours, maybe close to 5 hours, which is a very good screen on time for a phone which only has a 2070 milliampere of battery and a Lollipop update on the phone. Okay, another day, 77%. I used the phone a bit moderately, and I was able to get 45 minutes. Now if you see here carefully in the top right corner, I had 3G on. Now I noticed one thing though: when the phone is on 3G, it tends to lose the battery quicker on standby and both in use at the same time. So that's why I was only able to get 45 minutes with 77%. And in most of the, like as you can see on the graph here, the phone was used moderately, and mostly it was idle. So even in idle time during 3G on the Lollipop, the phone tends to lose battery a bit more than it would on Wi-Fi, as you saw in the previous screenshot. So mostly because I wasn't using the phone here, so battery was losing slowly but surely. But after 77% down to 77%, I was able to get about 45 minutes of screen on time. And as if you remember, on the Wi-Fi I was around 1 hour and 39 minutes with 75% on Wi-Fi. Okay, further down, I kept on using the phone on 3G, as you can see in the top right corner, still on 3G, and I was able to get, once the battery was down to 60%, I was able to get 1 hour and 13 minutes of screen on time, meaning that still, even with 3G, with this kind of screen on time, I should have been able to get around 4.5 hours screen on time, which is still not too bad. Okay, I kept the phone using further down the same day, and when it went down to 51%, I was able to get 1 hour and 31 minutes of screen on time, meaning that the phone would have given me 3.5 to 3 hours of screen on time, which is just about average. So on 3G, as you can see from my screenshots, the phone tend to use a bit more battery, and also loses a bit more battery on standby as well as compared to Wi-Fi standby. Okay, and then I kept on using the phone with the same battery, went down to 40%, and I was able to get 2 hours and 33 minutes of screen on time. Further down, kept on using the phone on the same battery without charging it, went down to 28%, and I was able to get 3 hours and 7 minutes of total screen on time, which is not too bad considering it was down to 28%, and I had a total screen on time of 3 hours and 7 minutes. The phone would have given me around approximately 4.5 hours of screen on time. Okay, further down, again went down all the way, stretched to the limit, and down to 13%, and I was able to get a decent screen on time. I think I probably missed the screen on time on here. I do apologize, but I can see from the graph here, the phone was fairly heavily used all day long, and the phone can still last you pretty much all day. And as you can see from the graph here, I left it, took it off charge just before 11 o'clock, around 10:30ish, and I put it up on charge around just before midnight on that day. So the phone can still easily last you 1 day, full day on Lollipop as well. So another day went down to 68%. I was still using 3G, as you can see from the top right corner, and I was able to get 1 hour and 31 minutes of screen on time. Like I said, eventually it settled down. As you can see, the battery life even on 3G improved because the battery was trying to recalibrate with the operating system. So down to 68%, and I was able to get 1 hour and 31 minutes of screen on time. Further down again, same on 3G, same day, same battery, kept using further down, went down to 50%, and I was able to get 2 hours and 27 minutes. Now this is really impressive. This is where Lollipop was really beginning to settle down on the Moto G. It took a while, but eventually did settle down, and I was able to get almost 2.5 hours of screen on time with 3G on. That means the phone would have probably given me 4.5 to 5 hours depending upon the kind of use. Like always guys, if you're going to be using you're going to be streaming movies or going on YouTube and playing games, there's no way the phone will last you that long. But if you're using your WhatsApp, your Viber, Skyping, Facebooking and other stuff, then I'm pretty sure that the phone can last you pretty much all day with moderate to heavy use, and is still capable of giving you around 4 to 4.5 hours of screen on time depending on the way you use the phone. Further down again, the phone went down to 15% and it gave me 3 hours and 51 minutes of screen on time. As you can see in here, the phone was used slightly more heavily as compared to the previous screenshots, and that's why with a bit of fair heavy use I played a game for about half an hour to 45 minutes as well, and I got 3 hours and 51 minutes, just about 4 hours with 15% battery left on the Moto G. That means the Moto G would have given me with this use still over 4 hours of screen on time, which is really impressive. Another day I was still using 3G, the battery went down to 49% and I was able to get 2 hours and 6 minutes, and again even with this pattern and heavy use I would have still got over 4 hours of screen on time very easily on the Moto G with even 3G on. So back to Wi-Fi again, I was testing it again and again, and with 3G and Wi-Fi both, and this was here down to 64%. I was able to get 1 hour and 31 minutes, which is again really impressive. 64% on Wi-Fi and 1 hour 31 would probably mean that by the time the phone would have reached 50%, it would have given me around 2 to 2.5 hours of screen on time, and then total before the battery died it would have easily given me around 4.5 to 5 hours of screen on time. So guys, as you can see, the Moto G has not been affected that badly, especially on Wi-Fi with the Lollipop update. It's settling down well, and my experience so far with the Lollipop has been pretty good. The performance, I have to admit, is not as fluid as it was with KitKat, but it's fairly good. I'll probably be doing a separate video on the Moto G's performance as well very soon with the Lollipop, so guys, stay in tune. So guys, this was a quick video showing you battery life on the Moto G 2014 with the Lollipop update. If you like my video guys, please give it a thumbs up, and like always, if you got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to help. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, as it helps the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video.